Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We are Wasatch Mountain Bike Company. Our firm is just reaching the 10-year point with solid, consistent growth all throughout those 10 years. And we're discussing where to expand and build a new factory and enter a new market with our high-end mountain bikes. We're looking at Canada and Mongolia, and we believe that the best choice would be Canada. The Mongolian demographics average consumer is not in a position to be purchasing our product. In contrast, Canada's higher end mountain bike customer base is significant in size and actually growing right now. We also looked for a location with a customer base similar in characteristics to our current audience, and Canada fits that criteria really well. Canada is also geographically ideal when comparing the mountain biking scenes of the two countries. The mountain biking industry in Canada is already booming, with places like Whistler and the BC filled with great trail systems, and that culture is already deeply rooted in Canada. Overall, when looking at all this, we feel confident that Canada is the right expansion move for our firm.
So in our process of identifying whether we would choose Canada or Mongolia, we took into account that our target when identifying the target market and demographic, that we were seeking a consumer that best aligned with our firm's lifestyle and brand. And one of the first things we took into consideration were the cultural differences between the two countries. When it comes to Canada, the primary language is English. Nearly 90% of the people speak English there. And then in Mongolia, the primary language is Mongolian, and English is secondary. As far as religion, Christianity is the most prevalent religion in Canada, and Buddhism in Mongolia. And ethnicity, in terms of diversity within ethnicity in Canada, it is quite heterogeneous, while it's quite homogeneous within Mongolia. And all of these are foundations for the difference between their cultural norms and values. They're significantly different due to their location in comparison to the United States, due to the fact that Canada is in North America with the United States. Our cultural differences are not that different or significant, while the difference between the United States and Mongolia is vastly different. And the cultural disconnect is ultimately a determining factor for our firm's decision, and the adjustment of adapting to such a culturally different market such as Mongolia would require a greater amount of effort, money, and resources, and therefore makes it far more riskier and making Canada a much more preferable option.
In administrative regards, Canada provides much safer and more reliable option. Not only are they in the same regional trading bloc and have more similar currency and government, they also provide much more security when it comes to the rights of our factories. The policies and security of the policies they have in place to protect and enforce our private property and ownership rights are a much safer bet than those that Mongolia provides. This is a very important factor in our decision-making process, because knowing we have security in our ownership and that there's no possibility in losing our land or business at the drop of a hat provides a sense of stability that helps us to assure we did the correct thing with choosing Canada. Mongolia also has a much higher risk of corruption affecting our business or our ability to produce our products, whereas Canada does not include that risk when we build our factory there. The political and social stability is all around much better and much more reliable than that of Mongolia. Another benefit to building in Canada is the higher exchange rate and the more stable comparison to the American dollar, leaving us much less likely to be vulnerable to a sudden drop in the economy.
So when it comes to economics, Canada and Mongolia are vastly different on almost all levels. For example, Canada has a GDP almost 9 times higher, or times that of Mongolia. And this was a big factor when it came to our firm. We wanted to go into a market which is established and that we can rely on. The Mongolian GDP has been rising, however, almost 9% for the last 2 years. But on the other hand, the Canadian one has been rising 3% consistently almost all years that it was a nation. This was a really important factor. We wanted to build a factory in Canada, so we wanted huge and really committed ties to the Canadian market. So we decided as a firm that it would be really safe to go into an established market that's consistent and that we have long-term effects in. Another big factor our firm decided on was the GDP per capita. The GDP per capita in Canada allows for the average Canadian to spend excess money on mountain bikes, which ours range from 5,000 to 8,000, while on the other hand, the Mongolian GDP just does not allow this. The Mongolians are too busy paying bills and putting food on the table, and they just do not have the excess income. Another factor would be going to the tourism industry. Tourism in Canada is huge. We mentioned earlier about Whistler and all the other national parks where mountain bikes would be an excellent choice. While Mongolia does have a tourism industry, but it is not suited to our product. So all in all, that is why we chose Canada, because it's a safer option over Mongolia.
Geographically, we'll say it from the start, Canada is just a much better option. And you'll notice on the slide that Canada has a shared land border with the United States, as opposed to Mongolia, which is, well, quite frankly, halfway across the ocean, 6,000 to 7,000 miles away. And this distance, we think, is representative of a key consideration that we made in the process of determining which country would be a better fit for the expansion of our firm. Now, what we mean by this is that there's two approaches that we could have taken, and because, and it was mentioned in the introduction, we're a luxury market, we appeal to a more, and Andy just talked about this, like we're not, then the people in Canada that we're trying to sell our bikes to, our market, are not primarily concerned with putting food and other, like, bare necessities on the table. They're concerned with higher level pursuit, and our bike is one of those things that we offer. And so it's a matter of quantity versus quality. And had we been going for a lot of bikes as opposed to high quality mountain bikes to mesh in with the Canadian culture, we would have chosen Mongolia. But in this regard, and in a geographic perspective, it's closer. We can do things domestically. There's no need for importing or exporting to too great of an extent. And that also, well, builds PR in the sense that we make things locally. They're higher quality. Each bike is handcrafted by the people. And so moving forward, it's like Canada is just more relevant than Mongolia in the geographic regard.
So when we look at all these factors and we think about all the options we have here, with us being such a fresh company on the market and wanting to play it safe, yet still be confident we can make that profit, Canada stands out as just 100% the option to go with. We look at these geographic factors Justin talked about, or the cultural differences and the economy and just the ties between the countries, and all around Canada stands above Mongolia and just makes us excited for this next move. And so with all that being said, we have full confidence that Canada is where we're meant to be. And we thank you for being here today, and thanks for listening.